Imagine how good it would feel to experience an incredible leg massage. Imagine Air Press Massager. Call now.
Call 1-800-517-3399 to order your Air Press Massager for $39.99 plus shipping. Call 1-800-517-3399 or use your checkbook like a credit card. Call now 1-800-517-3399.
As Isabel continues inland, where will it head? Will you be affected? Find out the impact on your weekend and travel plans. We're tracking the storm with live coverage from the field.
Running 6 to 9 where there are no dunes to protect us.
And in-depth expert analysis.
Winds onshore.
Isabel coverage continues. Stay tuned to the Weather Channel as we keep you ahead of the storm.
Now, from the Weather Channel, here is your local on the 8s. Currently, the temperature is 73 degrees with light rain. Forecast. Your extended forecast.
And thanks for joining us. I'm Sharon Resulta, and Weather Center continues, and we continue our coverage of Tropical Storm Isabel, which continues to weaken over northern Virginia at this hour. Let's look at the latest satellite picture, and here we go with the winds still very brisk around this, and not only that, but high pressure just a bit further to the north, creating quite a pressure gradient. We're going to examine the winds in a moment. Major power outages, though, in the Baltimore area, 70,000 in Baltimore County, 30,000 in Baltimore City. Into New Jersey, 43,000 New Jersey residents are in the dark right now. And into Virginia and North Carolina, more than 75% of all Dominion customers in Virginia and North Carolina have no power. That's nearly 1.7 million people. 95% of the customers in Richmond and Petersburg area are without power. So many folks in the dark. And as a caveat to that, oftentimes what happens, folks get out the candles, and sometimes we recommend the candles too, but it's nighttime, you're going to sleep. Don't leave those candles burning, because then we end up talking about fatalities due to fire. Please don't do that. Hopefully you've got the batteries and the flashlight, you've got the light that you need. Do not leave those candles burning during the overnight while you sleep. There's a look at it from a satellite perspective. Let's go ahead and take a look at Tropical Storm Isabel. It's moving swiftly north-northwest at 23 miles per hour. And you can see that central pressure up from our last advisory, now up to 978 millibars. The winds are down accordingly to 60 miles per hour. And here is the projected path, eventually becoming extratropical by Friday evening as it works its way up toward Canada. You're looking at the radar estimates here. And there have been some impressive amounts, and really, as it moves over the higher terrain, it's kind of ripping the storm apart, but we're also finding it squeezes that moisture out of that tropical air mass, and we get a lot of rain coming down in a short period of time. Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina, picking up over 6.5 inches of rain. Richmond, Virginia, picking up over 4 1/3. So not only are you without power here in Richmond, these folks, but they're also dealing with the potential for some flooding rains in some spots as well. And there are some of the other rainfall amounts. Not so much rain down around the coast where this made landfall, but again, it's been a rather quick mover, and because we've seen that progress now, the flooding situation could be worse, believe it or not. We're thankful this thing is moving right along at 23 miles per hour. A lot of the heaviest stuff is now to the north of you in D.C. and on up through Baltimore. Philly's still in the thick of things with some heavier rain, and you can see all this west of Charlottesville into Augusta County. Right in here, we've had some problems with some flooding and some evacuations, 5, 6 inches of rainfall there, and in some cases maybe even reports of 6 to 8 inches. So there have been some impressive amounts there. Pittsburgh looking at some significant rain, and you can see this all moving back through Youngstown. Cleveland, did you think you'd be dealing with a tropical storm this evening? This rain is far-reaching all the way across the Ohio Turnpike to you in Toledo and Maumee. You are dealing with some of that tropical moisture. New York City, some squally weather for you, and a lot of wind here too, folks. It's not just the rain. Remember, we've got that high pressure and we've got that really tight pressure gradient, and those winds will be on the increase across much of New York State and even on into Ohio overnight into tomorrow. We're talking 25, 35 mile per hour winds with higher gusts. So very, very brisk indeed. There's a look at the flash flood watches that are in effect, extending from Virginia all the way up through New York State and eastern portions of Ohio. And just to kind of give you an idea of some of the winds as this thing made landfall, some of the winds that we've reported, Ocracoke reporting 80 mile per hour sustained winds with a gust of 105. Norfolk at the Naval Air Station reporting a 52 mile per hour wind with a 74 mile per hour gust. And the list goes on, even into D.C., where Reagan National Airport has been closed, government offices closed, schools closed. Kids get a 4-day weekend as a result of flooding concerns and power outages across this region as well. And I mentioned the power outages into the Baltimore area. So really a nasty, nasty situation. Tropical storm warnings remain in effect. Mauritius Inlet, New York, down to Currituck Beach Lighthouse around North Carolina. So still some very brisk conditions. Let's take a look at the winds. And again, you're looking at some of the gusts here, which are still, here's one up to 67 miles per hour. So there's still some extremely gusty winds. And keep in mind too, around Ocean City, Maryland, we're around high tide. So we're talking about that wind, and then we're talking about the high tide as well. So we could find some more beach erosion, more of that water washing up on the beaches. So keep an eye out for that. And even down toward New York City, some of these gusts close to 40 miles per hour. Very, very gusty indeed. Another problem that we've seen with all the recent rain, first we had dry weather, then some rainy weather. Trees are stressed out. And now we're adding wind into the mix. So into Lancaster, Pennsylvania, at one point, 150 to 175 trees down in just 2 hours. And reports now one fatality as one of those trees apparently fell on a car. So be very, very careful. If you've got some old trees in your yard, you want to be very, very leery of that, especially if they have not been doing so well lately. So keep an eye on that. Anytime we talk about down trees, we get the down power lines. And again, very, very handy to have those flashlights handy. All right, there's a look at your current weather. We'll take you through your forecast here for the Northeast, and sure enough, this thing will become a tropical depression and then eventually extra tropical as we go into Friday evening. Brisk, turning windy even for you in Boston. You won't see the brunt of the rain, but you will feel the wind, and that rain, as you saw, far-reaching into the Great Lakes region. Into the Southeast, concerns here too with some flooding, as we've had a lot of rain coming down into parts of Texas, and that has prompted, again, some flash flood watches here, so we'll continue to watch this region very closely.
Imagine how good it would